Welcome back to AM Northwest. It's like a hug in a bowl. Here to share her family's favorite recipe for chicken noodle soup, we welcome back co-author of the cookbook F Words Mom Let Us Say, Food, Family, and Friends, Sharon Peddie. Hug in a bowl, that's the best description I've ever heard.
It is, right? Doesn't chicken noodle soup just always feel like a nice, big, warm hug?
Yes.
And let's face it, it's February, lots of people are sick, we're over the rain.
Yes.
So let's make a hug.
Yes, and you have a special recipe. This is unusual. When you were telling me about it earlier this morning.
Good. I know. When you
impressed.
think of chicken noodle soup, a lot of times you're like, oh, it's so simple. But when we were putting it together, putting our cookbook together and asking people, what should we put in the cookbook? A lot of people, when we suggested like soups, they're like, do you have a good chicken noodle soup recipe? And it's something you think everybody has.
Right.
But we were so
basic.
surprised, either people don't make it or they don't have a good recipe.
Right.
So we're gonna start with 2 tablespoons of olive oil and 2 tablespoons of butter.
Ooh, I like that combo.
And then we're gonna go with that perfect combination of onions.
That. Those are very well chopped.
So I'm glad that you mentioned that, because we do always like really fine chop the onions, because nobody really wants to bite into an onion in soup.
I don't.
Then I did the opposite for the vegetables. It's so nice. Nobody wants mushy vegetables.
No.
So I feel like the texture of things in soup really make or break a soup. So we're gonna put the carrots in there too. And
those
then
have good color.
Celery.
Too.
I know. Carrots are really pretty right now. I don't understand it. I don't know where they come from right now. You know how this time of year, like you're like, why is that color? And then, you know, the carrots are so pretty. So we'll go ahead and we'll get that going, and so that everything gets nice and soft.
I love that smell.
I know, me too. And I always think the key to a really good soup are layers. And a lot of people want to just open a jar and maybe put a couple little spices in there, but I just strongly believe fresh herbs make a difference.
I'm with you.
And it just gives it a bunch of layers. If you want to just give like a little fine chop to the parsley.
Okay. And this is a flat leaf parsley.
Yeah, it's a flat leaf Italian parsley. Just give that a nice little rustic chop. It doesn't matter. And then this is fresh oregano that I'm going to put in while you do that.
I love fresh herbs.
Me too.
Oh.
It smells so good, doesn't it?
Oh, yes.
And then I love fresh rosemary. Rosemary in a jar that's dried can be a little bit of a bully.
Yeah.
You know, it tastes really licoricey and strong.
What's the best? Do you want to put
that
this in?
looks perfect.
Okay.
Yep, let's put that in there. And then I really think, you know, the fresh herbs are the key to it, and they're really pretty easy. I mean, you can just take oregano and kind of go down there.
Okay. Do you chop that then?
Yeah,
okay.
and then I'll put it on there. I already added it, but I just want to kind of show.
Perfect.
And then same for rosemary. You don't want to put any of the sprig in there because it's so woody.
Right.
It won't soften in the soup. But, you know, you just kind of go down like that, and then you give it a nice good chop.
Nice.
And then we're going to add some garlic. And you don't want to add it too soon because you don't want it to burn. But I love the fresh garlic in there.
You did not mince that in a machine.
I didn't. I just gave it a nice smash and a chop because I didn't want it to burn. And it won't really taste strong to anybody by the time it simmers and everything. You won't even know if you got it. And then also, I always like to not waste any, you know, try not to waste as much as possible. So these have the inside of celery have these, and you always want to kind of toss them, but they're really sweet. So I always just throw them in. I take them out when it's time to eat, but they're really sweet, and it adds just like this little sweet that you're like, huh. And then also when you chop the celery, I don't know, I always like keep these in my refrigerator.
And what do you do with that?
Well, if you're like making a charcuterie board or, you know, veggies, I'll just kind of put those out because they look cute.
They are cute. It looks like a flower.
And then we're going to add a bay leaf. I feel
love
like
bay leaves.
These need to come to the front of your spice drawer.
Yeah.
They just add just a nice floral tone that is perfect in soups. And
it's
so
a je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, he'll never let you down. He's a good little worker in there.
Yeah.
And then so we're going to let that kind of soften, and then we will add all of our broth. We'll turn up the heat on that.
I'll do one
Thank you.
and you do one.
And then we use pad thai noodles.
That's the unusual element that
I
I love.
love it. they're brown rice, so they're completely gluten-free too. So if somebody is like, oh, I miss chicken noodle soup because I'm gluten-free, this is a perfect recipe. It's not intended to be gluten-free, but it just so happens. And then if you want to put these in for me.
Sure, and do you break them?
Yeah, I usually break them in half or thirds because then it's just nice for the bite.
Do you put it all in at once?
You can do it however you want. Here, I'll hold half because it might be a little easier.
How about you do half and I do half?
Okay, that sounds good. And then, yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I do maybe, you know, like a third or a half.
And so now this isn't going to make it, oh, I can't even break that. That's not going to make it too thick?
No, you want the starch in it, and it just adds a nice thickness, but not too starchy. And it's just going to cook in there, which is perfect. Like, you don't have to make it ahead of time and then put the noodles in. You just go in, you bring it up. We're going to bring up the heat, and we're just going to let it bubble. And then after that, just bubbles for a little bit. We're going to add rotisserie chicken. I just think the flavor of rotisserie chicken makes the soup. So 3 cups. And I leave kind of big shreds because I just feel like it looks prettier and it's nice to the bite.
Yeah.
So we'll put all of that in there. And then this is one of the best finds ever. Like, you're sick, you want to make chicken noodle soup, and you're like, I don't want to go buy a rotisserie chicken. I also don't want to mess with it. Costco sells, when they are done with rotisserie chickens that don't sell, they pull them for you. There's about 3 chickens in here. Whoa. So just keep it in your freezer, pull it out. I section it usually like in 3s.
Before you freeze it?
Yes, before I freeze it, and you pull it out, and it's just like a little friend, ready for ready for dinner.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll just let that boil, and once it boils, I turn it down, simmer for maybe like.
Cover it?
Yeah, cover it for probably about 15 or 20 minutes. You can stick a spoon in there after and just see if you like the texture of the noodle. And that's the other thing I love about the pad thai noodle. It just really holds a nice shape, and it actually reminds me of that noodle that you had as a kid in chicken noodle soup.
Right.
You know, it's just really kind of
let's see the final product.
And a little pepper in there. I didn't add salt to anything because we used
the rotisserie chicken.
The rotisserie chicken and the broth did not have.
Okay.
So let's grab you a bowl.
I'll just grab the bowl. Okay. Can I try it?
Yes, absolutely.
It smells so good.
I hope it's not too hot for you.
Oh, I can make it work.
Okay.
Okay.
There you go.
And then you serve it with a little roll.
Yeah, a little bread to dip it in. Nice little baguette or ciabatta bread.
That is so good.
Do you love it?
Yes.
And good. It's nice and cozy.
Yes, we'll have the recipe on our website in just a bit. And more information about Sharon at KATU.com. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Perfect
it's always
February
fun to be here.
recipe.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, we'll be right back with more AM Northwest. Stay right there.